Hi, good evening, and welcome back to today's Roznama. So today is the 27th of February, and we're back with the daily newspaper analysis. So without any further ado, let's make a start. So the first piece of news which we have here relates to the Supreme Court, absolutely vital for Clat. As you know, the current Chief Justice of India is Justice Suryakant. You should, of course, do the basics relating to the Supreme Court. For instance, the first Chief Justice of India, H.J. Kania, the longest serving Chief Justice of India, Y.V. Chandrachud, and so on and so forth. The records relating to the Supreme Court are absolutely relevant and important. So, what was the news story here? Basically, this was a class 8th textbook prepared by NCERT for the subject of social study. In this, there was a chapter on the judiciary, the role of Indian judiciary in the country. Now, within this chapter, this NCERT book contained sections which discussed corruption in the judiciary and stated that one of the big problems was corruption in the judiciary at different levels. It also mentioned the long pendency and other challenges faced by the judiciary. But the focus in this news story was on the statements in that class 8 social studies textbook relating to corruption in the judiciary. Now, many people took note, and the Supreme Court registered a suo motu case, right? What is a suo motu case? Suo motu basically translates to on its own motion. Meaning, usually, how does it work? We file cases before a court. A suo motu case is a case or cause registered by the court on its own motion, meaning by itself. Okay, so the Supreme Court registered a suo motu case. The Supreme Court stated that it is possible if it was done intentionally, then this particular instance could qualify as contempt of court. It said it sounds like a calculated attempt at impacting administration of justice and the independence and autonomy of the judiciary. Accordingly, the Supreme Court ordered a blanket ban on the printing and distribution of this book. Further, it ordered seizure of all copies of the book, whether offline or online, wherever they may have gone out. Additionally, it issued a show cause notice to the NCERT director and other officials, asking them to show cause as to why contempt of court proceedings should not be initiated against them. Okay, so that is the action taken. Now, this whole saga poses important questions for the freedom of speech and expression in the country. We are talking about the Supreme Court. There is no other appeal beyond this. Article 19, Clause 1, Subclause A, of course, provides for the right to freedom of speech and expression, which includes the freedom of the press. Now, there can be two different issues at play. Of course, corruption plagues all parts of the institutions and all parts of society in India. However, the specific mention of this in a very particular manner in a class 8 social studies textbook perhaps can be criticized, right? It may be seen as an attempt to delegitimize the judicial system and the judiciary in the country. So that is one view. The other view, of course, is that just like it exists in the government, so does corruption exist in different levels of the judiciary. So that is where a balance is required, right? The Supreme Court has imposed a blanket ban on this particular book. They said it can have far-reaching consequences. But you should always remember that these are competing values, right? On the one hand, freedom of speech and expression. On the other hand, the independence and autonomy of the judiciary. So you should know that under Article 19, Clause 2, the reasonable restrictions are provided, meaning on what grounds reasonable restrictions can be imposed on the freedom of speech and expression of citizens. And one of those grounds is contempt of court. Okay, so those are the facts you should keep in mind. It's become a big issue, so let's see how it progresses. But these are the key and vital facts. Okay, so let's proceed forward. Just a small point. From today, the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, has begun a state visit to India, which will conclude in a couple of days in March. Okay, so we will see what the outcomes are over the next few days. Please keep this visit in mind. Why would you have heard of Mark Carney this year? Why is it important? Because we have discussed previously the Carney Doctrine, right? Mark Carney had given a very important speech at the World Economic Forum at Davos, right? And there he had enunciated the challenges being faced by the world order, by the multilateral world order. And he had proposed his vision of the new multilateral, multipolar world. Okay. And in fact, he had suggested a way forward for the middle countries, right? The countries which are not too weak, but the countries which are also not the superpower. Okay. So keep in mind the Carney Doctrine. It relates to the Prime Minister of Canada, and he is on a state visit to India. Moving forward, over the last few days, our Prime Minister has been on a visit to the state of Israel, and there were several important points which came out of the visit. Of course, there have been criticisms about the timing of the visit after and amidst the genocide in Gaza and the illegal actions of Israeli settlers in the West Bank. So all of those controversies aside, let us focus on the points that you have to remember with respect to the Prime Minister's visit to Israel. So most important, India and Israel have now named their partnership a special strategic partnership. Okay, a special strategic partnership. So this is the name that has been given to the Indo-Israeli partnership. As you would recall, the Prime Minister has also been awarded the Medal of the Knesset. Right? What is the Knesset? It is the Parliament of Israel, the national legislature of Israel. And they have created a new award called the Medal of the Knesset, which is their highest parliamentary honor. And the first winner of that honor is the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi. Okay. During his visit, the PM also visited Yad Vashem, YADVASHEM, which is the World Holocaust Remembrance Center. You should, of course, know about the Holocaust, which was the genocide of the Jewish people, primarily at the hands of Nazi Germany. Okay, so please do keep that in mind. Coming back to it, several pacts were signed, including in critical and emerging technologies. Agreements were reached to open several different centers of excellence. So if we take a look at it, number one, critical and emerging technologies partnership. This is one important outcome. Then there was a memorandum of understanding on AI to establish the Indo-Israel Cyber Center of Excellence. So this is going to be established in India. Then there's going to be a joint commission on science and technology, which already exists. It's now going to be upgraded to the ministerial level. There's going to be, an initiative to collaborate on emerging technologies, which will be led by the national security advisors of the two countries. There will be a technology gateway initiative as well as a financial dialogue. Some progress was also achieved in terms of establishing a quota of Indian workers who can go and work in Israel. Finally, the Indo-Israeli Parliamentary Friendship Group was also established, where the lawmakers of the two countries can meet together and exchange views. Okay, so that's the laundry list of outcomes. The most important points will be the elevation of the partnership and its name as a special strategic partnership. Number two, the award received by the Prime Minister, which is the Medal of the Nese. Okay. Uh, Beyond that, there are a bunch of outcomes which we have just discussed. All right. Moving forward, and in today's newspaper, the Prime Minister has given an editorial in the Indian Express talking about the history of India and Israel. There are actually quite a few firsts. Narendra Modi was the first Prime Minister to visit Israel, and now the first Prime Minister to visit Israel twice. He's the first Prime Minister to visit Palestine. He's the first Prime Minister of India to have addressed the Knesset, the Parliament of Israel. He was actually born on the date on which India recognized the state of Israel. What is that date? 17th of September, 1950. Okay, so the birthday of Narendra Modi is the date on which India had recognized the state of Israel. So there are quite a few firsts. So it is quite important. And, you know, with the PM receiving the Medal of the Knesset, another interesting fact is that he has also received the highest Palestinian honor for foreign dignity, right? So just keep these facts and details in mind, specifically relating to records made by the Prime Minister relating to the state of Israel. Moving forward, in the Hindu, an editorial was published sort of cautioning that in the quest to have good relations and progressive relations with Israel, India should not forget our ties and historical relations to the Arab world. Okay. Moving forward, now this is an article which you can take a look at. You can cover the questions for critical reasoning for this article in today's Roznama, which you can join by going to clatpossible.com. It's absolutely free, and you get to practice each day's editorials each and every day. It's like a small mini Clat. Okay. So my point is not to discuss this article in depth. It talks about the inequalities of Indian economic progress, right? And right at the top, there are words which you should be aware of in terms of their English meaning. Okay, so that is a little bit of homework for all of you. Moving forward, in the Hindu today, there is an important in-depth article about bulldozer justice or bulldozer injustice, we should say. As you know, over the last several years, there has been a trend that once somebody gets accused of a crime or convicted of a crime, then the local municipal corporation goes and demolishes their house. This is something that has occurred over the last several years. And it's been celebrated by some as a form of justice, but the constitution and the court say that this is nothing but unconstitutional injustice. So this article explains the details about that, and of course you can practice legal reasoning on this article on the Roznama today. Okay, now why is bulldozer justice wrong, right? This was answered by the Supreme Court in a case called In Re Directions in the Matter of Demolition of Structures. This was a judgment which was pronounced in 2024 by then Chief Justice of India, Bhushan Ramakrishna Gavai, B.R. Gavai. And in this case, it was held that what punishment is to be given to someone is the province of the judiciary. And if municipal corporations take upon themselves the mantle of demolishing the homes of people who have been accused or even convicted of crime, they would be intruding upon the domain of the judiciary. In any case, no law in India authorizes demolition of a house as a punishment for a crime. So various guidelines and directions had been given by the Supreme. Now, why has this article been written? Because as you can see, the guidelines were given in 2024, but instances of demolitions have still occurred after that. And the Allahabad High Court took cognizance of one such instance and has framed 5 questions which it proposes to answer, saying, have the authorities been negligent? Have they been violating the guidelines and directions of the Supreme Court? Okay, so just keep this point in mind and do practice the questions on this in the Roznama. Okay, now 2 small points about 2 personnel changes. One is the Commission of Inquiry that had been constituted by the Union government into the ethnic violence between the Meiteis and the Kukizos in the state of Manipur. So basically, the judge who was the chair of this, Justice Lamba, has resigned from this particular Commission of Inquiry due to personal reasons. And so now, retired judge of the Supreme Court, B.S. Chauhan, has been appointed as the chair of this commission. Okay, so what is this? The Commission of Inquiry to inquire into the ethnic violence in the state of Manipur, established by the Union government. Who is it chaired by now? It is chaired by Justice B.S. Chauhan. Second, you might have seen this yesterday or day before, the pending outstanding impeachment inquiry or removal inquiry into the actions of Justice Yashwant Verma, right? You might know the basic facts of the case, where cash was found at his house when someone called the fire brigade because there was a fire in the outhouse of this judge's home. Right, there cash was discovered, leading to allegations of corruption. And after following an in-house procedure, the judiciary also recommended to the executive that removal proceedings should be initiated. In any case, independently, removal proceedings were initiated in Parliament, and a commission was established to inquire into the allegations and the causes for the removal of this judge. This is in accordance with Article 124 of the Constitution, read with the corresponding article related to the High Court judge. Okay, and the details about the committee are provided in the Judges Inquiry Act. Okay, so a 3-member committee had been constituted last year. So one of the members has been changed. Okay, so who all are in this committee, inquiry committee, for the removal of Justice Yashwant Verma? Number 1 is Justice Aravind Kumar of the Supreme Court. Number 2, and this is the new person who has been added. Okay, that is Justice Chandrasekhar. He is the Chief Justice of the Bombay High Court. And third is B. Vasudev Acharya, senior advocate, as an eminent jurist. Okay, so this is the 3-member committee which has been appointed. The committee was already in existence. 2 of the members are the same. 1 person has been replaced. So who has been replaced? Justice Manindra Mohan Srivastav has been replaced by Justice Chandrasekhar. Okay, so please keep this in mind. Let's see if this progresses and comes to fruition in the course of this year before your Clat. Moving forward, just a small piece of news. As you know, Dr. Manmohan Singh, former Prime Minister, former Reserve Bank Governor, former Finance Minister, and so on and so forth, he passed away a year or so back. So for the first time, the Dr. Manmohan Singh Memorial Lecture was held, which was given by former Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel. Okay, so you don't have to go into too many details. Just keep in mind the Dr. Manmohan Singh Memorial Lecture was given by Angela Merkel, who is a former Chancellor of Germany. All right, moving forward. the railways has established a new policy and portal. It's called the Rail Tech Policy and the Rail Tech Portal. Basically, the railways has identified the kinds of technological solutions it is looking for. And it's a way, this policy and portal is a way for startups and investors and people in the private sector to come forward and provide those solutions with grants from the government. So that is the purpose of this particular policy and portal, and it's been given the tagline 52 reforms in 52 weeks. Okay, so let's see what comes out of this. But as of now, you should know the Ministry of Railways has launched the Rail Tech Policy and the Rail Tech Portal. Okay, and who is the Minister of Railways? It is Ashwini Vaishnav. Okay, all right. Moving forward, I don't want to cover this again. We have been taking a look at these articles in recent days and weeks. As I mentioned in my last session, it really is not clear what the US is looking for other than war. Okay, and this article also flags that the demands which are being made by the US, Iran is coming forward to say we are ready to meet those demands. And yet the next day, the US again says Iran is not ready to meet our demands. So it's rather unclear. Let's see what happens. Most experts say that war is extremely likely. Okay, so let's see how this situation evolves. Anyway, talks are going on. Now, coming to this, as you know, the UN Security Council is one of the six principal organs of the United Nations, where 15 countries are members at a time, 5 of whom are permanent members, and the other 10 are non-permanent members, elected from time to time by the UN General Assembly. Now, in the UN Security Council, countries get the presidency, and the president of the UNSC changes each and every month. So it's about to be the turn of the United States, and on one of those days, the US is going to be represented by the First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump, who is the wife of the US President, Donald John Trump. Okay, so this is just a quick flag. It will come in the news when it actually happens, but that's the plan as of now. So we'll see when it happens what issues are focused on. They have announced in advance that she's going to focus on the topic of education, tolerance, and peace. All right. Moving forward, something we've covered over the last few days. So this is going to be big in the news tomorrow. Of course, you now know it early. The union government is going to roll out a nationwide campaign for free vaccine for girls between the ages of 14 and 15, right? What is it a vaccine against? It is a vaccine against HPV, okay? Human papilloma virus. Some strains of HPV cause cervical cancer in women. So this is a vaccine drive, free vaccine drive, which is going to take place. We are going to see more details about this tomorrow. Another point for today is that the Prime Minister is going to inaugurate India's first semiconductor fabrication plant. Okay, so where is this? This is going to be in the town of Sanand. Okay, this is going to be in the town of Sanand, which is mentioned here. It's going to be India's first semiconductor fabrication plant. So you should link this news story with the India Semiconductor Mission. This year in the budget, they have made announcements relating to that. You can also link this to India joining the PAC Silica coalition, right? So things like this can be one question in a 6-question set for Clat, or can come up standalone in ALE. Okay. Moving forward. So this is a quick flashback. Over the past few days, we've seen the statue of Edwin Lutyens was replaced by the statue of Rajaji or C. Rajagopalachari. the first Indian Governor General of India and the last Governor General of India. Okay, so this is just an opinion piece, one side arguing for it, one against it. And you will see in today's Roznama, you can practice English on the article. Sometimes the colonial is the Indian. Okay, so you can log into the Roznama at clatpossible.com and try out these questions. Okay. Finally, just to underline it, we have discussed over the past few days Prahar, India's first counter-terrorism policy. So this is here just to advise you to do that in depth. I would not be surprised if it comes up in the exam this year. As always, the government is fond of full forms. So homework for you is to revise and be able to recite by heart the full form of Prahar, India's first counter-terrorism policy. So that's all for today. The newspaper was a little bit light, but it was nice to see you all. Just keep in mind, this kind of a brief overview of the newspaper is good enough. However, you can supplement this by going to Roznama by Clat Possible, so you can try questions on it, right? In this newspaper, analysis each and every day, we do this from the perspective of GK. But if you truly want to cover the editorials, which you should, to do the vocabulary, the methods of writing, and practice critical reasoning, practice maths, practice GK, practice legal reasoning, Roznama is the one-stop solution for you. So it was nice to see all of you this evening. Good evening and goodbye.